Our publishing tool allows users to publish pages from a draft space into a published space, helping you turn draft content into published, polished content with confidence and structure. With automated workflows using auto approval request upon page creation, auto publishing upon approval, and external surfacing, you have a clear, efficient, and accountable process that guides each project from initial concept to final delivery. Hi everyone, I'm James from Capable, and today I'm going to show you how to use our publishing tool in the Capable all-in-one suite alongside Refined Sites for Confluence. Refined Sites for Confluence is developed by Refined, not by us, but it's a really awesome way of sharing your content and your Confluence pages externally to intranets, knowledge bases, wikis, documentation sites. And what this means is you can create your content right in the heart of Confluence, and without leaving, you can get your team in the workspace to check out the content, review, refine it, and then once it's ready to be shared with the outside world, you can push it live without even leaving the workspace. And alongside Capable's approval and publishing tools, you can create a multi-step process, which is firstly takes a lot of the manual effort out of copy and pasting to, say, website draft areas, website editors. You can skip that process out. Also, it allows you to have complete ownership of the different gates that you want this content to go through to ensure that it's had sufficient checking before you push it out onto the outside world. And importantly, this process is compliant friendly as well, with an accountable record of who approved and who published. So without further ado, let's go through to the Refined Sites area. So you can get the Refined Sites app from the Atlassian Marketplace, and once you've installed it, you can then go onto the dashboard. I've already created this within the Refined dashboard, but effectively you can name your site, and this is what my one is called. I'm imagining that I work for Rapscallion Media. They create digital brushes, pens, textures, tools, and they want a space where their users can go to find out more information on how to use these brushes and tools and garner more support. So as you can see, this is the kind of home page of it, and there you can put in a section here about who you are. I just put in a little bit of information about this fictitious company, put in a couple of images there, but a lot of this is actually already on the template. So I just picked a template, but there's a whole range of different templates that you can use, however fits your company's aesthetic. And I created a brushes section. So I'm imagining that Rapscallion Media, they might want a section for their brushes, a section for their pens, and a section for their textures, perhaps. So I've made the brushes section here, which connects to the brushes site here. Currently, as you can see, when I click on brushes, it will display the pages that I have within the brushes space. So I'm going to imagine that I'm going to have one space called brushes in Confluence. I'm going to have another space called pens. I'm going to have another space called textures. And the only two bits of content at the moment that are on the brushes space is the table of contents, which is there, and the first article that I've written, which is how to install the brushes in Photoshop. Now, I'll show you how this would work in creating more content to go onto the brushes section. So if I was to create a new page and name it test and publish, you'd be able to see that it pushes it live. Test, there we go. I don't necessarily want it to be test, I want it to be an article. So I'm going to edit it, used ChatGPT here to help me flesh out some documentation content. So if you're a technical writer or you're responsible for coming up with all the knowledge, whether it's for your users externally or for your teams internally, you can create these spaces and create these sites. You could even just give these sites access to your internal colleagues as well. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about how that's working at the moment, but it might also be that I might want to create another space. You create a space like this, so I type pens, go next, create space. And from here, I'm going to delete all of these out of here, because if I was to create a link to this space, to my refined space, it would actually put these templates on there. So I'm going to go through and delete these. And now I want to link up the refined site to that space, to that pen space, so that it can create another tab there that once someone clicks on it, it will take them through to the content that I've put on that space. So to do that, go back into the dashboard. You can add space or project, and here it will show you what spaces you've got. So I've got one called pens there. Select that, and what will happen is if I reload this page, it will then give me the pens section there. So I can click on pens and it will show me the standard template that Confluence creates for you when you make a new space. So you'd want to change this obviously, but for the purpose of this demonstration, I'll go down to an article on how to set up pens. So how to configure your Rapscallion pen. So let's put that in there. So go on to the draft again, sorry. There we go. And I can publish that. And you'll see as soon as I publish, go back to the home page and back to pens. As soon as I publish, it's there, available to see with anyone who has the link. So this is really awesome. It's missing a few steps perhaps, because you might want there to be a couple of gates that your team members go through before they know that the content is ready to push live for everyone to see. And this is where Capable's publish tool and our approval tool comes really handy and can define a very simple but effective workflow to ensure that nothing is slipping through the cracks that isn't ready. So I'm going to forget about the pen space at the moment. Just focus on the brushes space. So currently we have our brushes space here, but you might want this to be your publishing space. Every piece of content on here needs to be fully vetted, because as soon as it's on here, it will go live. So you can create a brushes draft space like this one here, with a kind of explanation of what this means for people to look at internally. And I can set up our publishing tool so that any page that is published from the draft space will automatically arrive on the publish space. It will be a duplicate, but it will be linked so that you can see if it is verified, if it is. It will be a duplicate, but it will be linked to that draft space so that you can see what the word is. And this is how we set it up. So we go through to the space settings. We go down to capable, and from the capable integration dashboard, we go into publishing, and I enable publishing. I need to select a target space. This is a draft space. I want my content to go through to the brushes space. I select that. I want to allow manual publishing. I'll explain why in a minute. I'll save that. Now, if I create a page in the draft space, so let's get up another brushes article. How about adjusting our brushes? And I publish that. Now, don't mistake the publish feature on Confluence, the inbuilt publish there, with our publishing tool. Publishing like that doesn't make it go live on the publish space. To use the capable publishing tool, click on the C or the capable logo here, go down to publishing, and you click publish. You click publish, and it gets sent to the publishing queue, where it is then created as a duplicate. And two ways I can now view that published document in the publish space. One, I can just go over to that tab here, reload, and it will be in there like that. Two, I can go onto view published, and it will just take me to that space where you'll be able to see the published page. If I click on the icon at the top here, which shows that it's published, give me a little bit more information on who published it, me, when, and from what space. And then you can actually navigate back to that source page on the draft space via a click of a button. When you're on the draft space, you can see that this is a published document. However, and you can actually navigate back to the source page via this button. Now you can see that the refined logo is up there, which suggests to me that it's live on the refined site. So let's go check that out and see. We'll upload, reload the page here, and it's been published there onto the site. Let's click on there and see. Fantastic, yeah. So if I go back to the adjusting our brushes article on the publish page, and I then change it somehow. So perhaps I take out and I change it somehow. So I'll take out that line perhaps, and I update it. Firstly, the updates will show on the refined site. Secondly, it will show now that the page has been desynced. The page has been published, but is out of sync now from the page on the draft area, because the page in the draft area still has that line. If I was to update this, it would come up with the icon at the top to say desynced here as well. This is a really important icon display because for any of the technical writers and their managers, you can quickly see if anyone's gone and tinkered with any of the content and desynced it, and quickly resolve the issue. If I was to go into here and update it, and then go back and republish, so in the publish space, it then updates it so that the changes have now been carried over, and the icon will reappear saying publish page. If I was to go and change the content in the draft space and update. Go back over to the publishing space. It will show as outdated. And the same on the draft space too. Again, a way of resolving the issue is to republish again with the desired changes that you have, which will then sync it back up. Like now, what you might want to do is set your permissions so that the technical team can have an explicit access to editing documents in the draft space and the ability to publish them. But they might not have access. But you might want to set the permissions in the publish space so that no one can edit anything within this space, solidifying it as that single source of truth. Now, perhaps you have a team of technical writers who are contributing to your brushes page on your refined site. But you also might have a group of marketeers who you want to contribute to your brushes page on your refined site. They might have a different draft space. So if I was to create a new space called brushes marketing draft space, because it might be that within your brushes part of your site, you'd like some articles about how to do things and you want other articles about promotions and upcoming features, etc. You might have a separate marketing draft space. And from your marketing draft space, you can still send your content published. From your brushes marketing draft space, you can publish to your brushes space, as well as publishing from your standard brushes draft space. So you could have your marketing teams on this space. You could have your more technical writers on this space, but they could both publish to this space, which is the space that is pushing content live onto refined. How do you set up them both to go to this space? The brushes draft space is already set up like that, but I can go to the brushes marketing draft space and I just follow the same procedure. Go to space settings, go down to integrations, capable, publishing, enable publishing, target space, and I can set this one to the brushes space too. Save that. And now, for instance, again, ChatGPT has given me a kind of marketing leaning post here that you can publish from your marketing draft space. So publish on Confluence, but then using the capable publishing tool, publish it to the brushes space. So has it appeared on the brushes space? Yeah, it's there. Has it appeared on the refined site? Yes, it has. Introducing our latest enhancements. So there you have it. Now, there is one more integration that I'd like to show you, and that's to actually elevate the amount of reviewing, refining, and overview process that you can give your teams. Now I'm going to show you capable approval and how that can be integrated into the workflow as well. Now, say that you're a marketing executive who's working for Rapscallion and you want to now publish a piece of content that is talking about an upcoming competition. You might want to draft this post up in the draft space, make sure that it's correct, whilst also letting other people review it so that you can get another opinion And it also might have to pass through certain approval gates. You might have a manager that might need to look at it per protocol before it goes live. You have, especially with something like a competition like this, you have many bits of detail that need to go through with a fine-tooth comb, such as the wording, the cash reward, the kind of terms and conditions, and dates, etc. So you want this to go through a really thorough reviewing and approval workflow. So I'm going to publish this. So currently as it is, I can just publish it straight to the brushes area using the publishing tool. However, I might want it to go through an approval first. So to do that, I'm going to click on here. I'm going to click on approval. And given that this is a completely new site, I'm the only user, but you could have multiple different assigned approvers, and you can connect it to Slack, meaning that all those approvers would receive a notification on the approval on their Slack, and they'll receive it on their email as well. For the nature of this tutorial, I'm just going to send it to myself there. So I'll send myself the approval request, and say I was coming into a fresh approval request, it will show at the top of the page the icon suggesting that there's a pending approval. I can click on pending, click on respond, and I can choose to approve or reject. I can even leave a comment here, and there it is. I can approve it. Now, once it's approved, I'll refresh the page again. It will show as being approved. Very clear. You don't have a cluttered interface of lots of different other plugins. It's just very easy to see what status this is at. You can also see the approval history. Should there be previous versions and when they're approved, you'll be able to see this in here with if they've been rejected, if they've been approved, etc., alongside what the comments were and who approved them. So that's great. It might be that now your manager has approved content and you might just have a kind of a written process for your company that once it's approved, you can publish it. However, you might also want the ability to automate that approval so that, firstly, when you create a page, it sends out an automated approval to a default approver. Secondly, you can set it so that once a page is approved, it automatically publishes that page. I'm going to show you how to do both of those things quickly. So if I go on to my space, I go on to space settings, I go down to capable again, and I can now go on to approval, and I might want to put on automatically raise an approval when a page is created. Default approvers, again, I'm the only person on this page, on this site. So now I know that as soon as a page is created in this marketing draft space, approval is automatically sent to the default approver. You could put in multiple approvers and a minimum amount of approvers or a minimum amount of rejections that deem it a specific status. For instance, if there was 3 default approvers I had in here and I put the minimum number of approvers as 2, it wouldn't matter if I didn't get a response from one of the approvers or if I got a rejection from one of the approvers. As long as the other 2 people created that, approved it, then it would be counted as approved. Same applies for rejections. I can also put approval and expiry on here. This is particularly important when there's perhaps a employee handbook that needs constant updating. It needs like checkpoints to go through throughout the year. Just by company policy, perhaps needs to be updated every 6 months. You can set that to 3 months, 6 months, a year, or an exact date. I'm just going to leave that unchecked. There's other configurations here that you can put. I'm also going to click on publish on approval. And this will mean that once the page is published, it will automatically, and what this will mean is when the page is approved, it will automatically be published onto the brushes space. And because it's on the brushes space, it will then be put onto the brushes part of the Rapscallion refined site. So let's try this out. So I save this. And by the way, if this is a change in a configuration that you've made to the draft space, previously created pages, it won't apply to, it won't just send an approval request out on all your previously created pages. But from when you make that change onwards, it will. So I'm going to create another piece of marketing material, and this time it might be instead a community meetup for people that use the Rapscallion pens and paints. And this time it might be a use Rapscallion pens, textures and brushes. So community meetup. Once I create this page, given the changes to the configuration I made, it will automatically send out an approval request. It will automatically send out an approval request that you can see here, pending. It will automatically send out an approval request that we can see here, pending. I click on this. I then approve. Should I deem it as good enough, I might want to make some changes to myself, send approval to other people, I'm not sure. But once this is approved, it is then automatically published. If I reload this, only reason it needs refreshing is so that it can then show the difference in the status. Approved, it's been approved, and you'll see now it's been published. We can go on to the published area. We go on to the published area, and it is in there, community meetup. We go on to the refined site. We go on to brushes. Go on to the refined site. Let's just go to brushes again. Go on to the refined site. Go over to brushes again. And it's appeared there. So now you have the ability to have a technical team that are working into a draft space, or a marketing team that are working into a draft space. You might have various levels of approval that content needs to go through from different managers. Once it's ready, this whole process of it arriving onto an exterior space is automated. You have a trail of paper chain with a log of who's approved, who's rejected, what comments they've put, which versions they've approved. And then you've got the ability to see if the content is outdated on the site as well. If someone was wanting to update the meetup, there's been a change in the schedule. It's not from 1 p.m, it's from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. now. They update this. The person that is reviewing all of the content in that published space, they might go back over to the community meetup and it will show as outdated. They know that there's a problem there. They know that they need to go back into the marketing draft space and make those changes and republish it perhaps. So there you have it, a really seamless way of moving content from Confluence into a exterior space that is really compliant friendly and just takes a lot of the effort out as well. There's no more copying and pasting, that you're getting it in that format. It's going to look exactly like you've made it in Confluence. And there's also the ability to search through that so you can have your knowledge base. And all that information is logged there on that refined site as well. So I might type in community and it's come up with the community article there. You can even give your published pages labels too, such as giving all of the marketing content the marketing label, then going over to the search tool, then filtering by label, and then saving it as a CQL. Next, on your refined site, you can scroll down to the section where you'd like your filtered results, select on Advanced, and paste in the CQL code. And furthermore, if I am the head top technical writer or the person in charge of the knowledge base that is the admin in a sense, making sure that all the pages are up to date, etc., I can go into the publishing dashboard and I can see here an overview of which pages have been recently published, perhaps, or which pages are outdated. So which pages might need to be reviewed and then republished, or failed to publish. And there are specific areas here to show that. I can go down to the search tool and I can actually, clicking on it, look like a finder window in a laptop. I can see if it's been published and by who, etc. You can see the summary. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and you found it useful. Please don't hesitate to reach out to the Capable team to find out more information about how you can really supercharge that workflow from conception of a project all the way through to approval and delivery. Thanks for watching again, and yeah, see you next time.